Let's talk about the power of technique with Naquan Jones on this Afternoon Drive podcast.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
From A-Town to your town, this episode and every episode of the Locked On Texans podcast is for Texan fans all around. This is going to be a fun show on this afternoon drive session, as I will be playing a post-game interview with Naquan Jones, and we talk about a lot. The power of technique, what's it been like working with Raw Wright, his defensive line coach. And obviously, we got to discuss him dropping back in coverage, right? We had never seen him do that before. Is that a sign of things to come? So things he's working on, working with his staff and teammates, and also his offseason program workout that allowed for him to lose some weight. That will be a part of today's conversation. And also, I'll dive into how important Naquan Jones is for the Houston Texans at this time. I think he allows for the Texans to be extremely deep. 6-minute interview, but I'm your Texans credential media member and football analyst, John Hickman. Shout out to my everydayers from the Himalayas for making the Locked On Texans podcast your first listen of the day. Listen, without further ado, you guys are back in your cars, headed home, sitting in traffic. I want you guys to hear from Naquan Jones. Right side, left. Good game tonight for you guys, man. Y'all got a really deep tackle room. What's the energy like right now within that unit?
That's great energy. Everybody's motivating each other, from the starters to the second string guys to everybody. Like, the energy's good. Rod and Frank do a great job of keeping our energy up throughout the week, and then you just got everybody that's in there that's hungry.
What's one thing that you saw tonight that gave you confidence, and what's also some things that maybe you want to clean up on before the week one regular season?
I see that everybody's willing to strain. Nobody's out there playing complacent. Everybody's hungry, like I said, and you see that from like the other groups. So you're gonna get that from the first group. You get what I'm saying? So you got good role models to look up to, guys that's gonna play hard every snap, and I feel like that's such a plus going into week one. Things we could work on, just technique stuff. Finishing out, obviously in that last 2-minute drive, that comes down to the D-line specifically. We got to get home, get the quarterback on the ground. So, just tightening up the fundamentals, and, we play hard. So that's never going to be an issue. Effort's never going to be an issue, but we're just fixing technique stuff.
Anytime I ask a player in his locker room about things that can be cleaned up on, they always kind of lead with technique.
Yeah.
Y'all meetings, what's the meetings like when you're talking with Raw Wright and the rest of the guys in the room? Yeah. How big is that technique?
That's one of our focal points. Like, we preach, our standard, and that's just effort, physicality, precision, and that's a big word we use in that room is precision. So using technique and, us just excelling in our technique, that's just a part of what we live by and what our standard is. So obviously you if the technique's not to our standard, you're going to see it.
Now, last week, before the game, was you practicing with Kalen Bullock when you dropped back in coverage? And then take me through that play, because I was like, oh, man, we ain't never seen you do that before.
Yeah, it was a play where obviously I get to drop back and, take away the crossing routes, but I just felt like he was choking on the ball, holding the ball a little bit. So I shot the gun, and it worked out. I don't know if I would have missed that sack, it would have been bad. But, I just shot my gun, and it all worked out.
It's like a user on Madden
exactly.
type of play. Man.
Exactly.
So this is your second year. Well, not full year, but, you came in last year, first full offseason with the team now.
Yes, sir.
Where have you seen the most growth personally as a player and also as a person?
I just feel like fitting into this scheme. I'm super critical of myself, and, there's times where I get on myself if I don't have the best play. And I feel like last year, and even just sometimes like earlier this year, like I'll get in my head a lot about if I didn't do something well, and Rod, they kind of joke about it, but in a serious way. They're just like, man, next play mentality. You feel me? Because, like I said, I'm super critical of myself, and, I hold myself to such a high standard that when I'm not performing or doing what I need to do, it really messes with me. So Rod and, Will and Rank and Tommy, they do a good job of keeping me grounded and just keeping me in that next play mentality.
What does this season for Naquan Jones look like?
I feel like it looks great. I dialed in and did all the things I needed to do coming into this camp.
Did you lose weight? Did
yes,
you
sir.
have off-season training? Take me through
yes,
that.
sir. Yes, sir. So I lost about 15 pounds coming into camp. I feel like that was just gonna make me a better player, regardless of anything with fitting into the scheme of this defense. This attack, get off the ball, and I was a little bit heavier, and it made it a little bit more challenging. Just buying into that. But me, Rod, and Frank, we put a plan together with our nutritionist here, so I was able to lock in, and I did that just to show that I'm really taking it serious. You feel what I'm saying? Like I didn't do that just to be a better player. I did that to show the coach, to show the organization that I'm ready to buy in and do what I need to do. Um, Also, just buying in, like I said, to the scheme. This defense has made a lot of people successful, made a lot of people a lot of money. So buying in and being a number, you feel what I'm saying? Being the number one defense is most important. Getting that Super Bowl and getting to the Super Bowl and being able to beat a team to dominate in the Super Bowl, that's really all I want. So we got the team to do it. I'm ready to do it.
You're confident that this is the team
Yes, sir.
that can play in February, play February football.
Yes, sir. I was super confident. Even when I got here last year, just seeing how these guys play, Will, Daniil, Rank, Tommy, like that's a group that they're all hungry. Obviously, you've seen the accolades and the contracts these guys got this offseason. That didn't change nothing. You wouldn't even be able to tell that, you would think that they're coming in trying to still earn that contract. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy to fall into something like that when you got your guys at the top of the list doing all the little things that, rookies would be doing,
My last question, what's the biggest difference this week of having more of Evan Brown at center and Keaton Rudders at guard? How has that been able to push you guys? And what have you been seeing from the offensive line with it change on the inside?
All throughout camp, I've been seeing them change out their personnel. So, it's good to put guys in different positions to see who's going to, excel the best at that position. It changes it up for us. You gotta, we're not game planning our offense, but you got to know who you're playing against, right? So, switching it up, obviously they seem more comfortable. The drive that they had today was really nice. They were moving guys around and able to run the ball. And, that's most important. I feel like last year was a big thing where they kind of struggled a little bit running the ball, and the first drive showed everything.
9.3 yards per carry on the ground.
That's great.
Woody going to get the 20-yarder to score. That's a big difference from what we were accustomed to seeing from last year.
Yeah, and they're playing with more urgency. They're getting up to the ball. They're moving guys off the line of scrimmage, and I feel like they're inserting that dominance that, they need up front.
Great conversation there with Naquan Jones, just kind of talking about, what his offseason workouts were like and the difference in between last year compared to this year. I want to talk about how he adds a ton of value to the Houston Texans defensive tackle room and why I think that may be their deepest position on the defensive side of the ball. More Locked On Texans talk, the afternoon drive session on the way.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On Saints podcast, and today's Locked On episode is brought to you by our friends at Basque and Lather. I've been using Basque and Lather's all-natural, 100% organic hair care products for my beard for a couple years now, and it's been a lifesaver because I used to have some bad beard care habits. I'm talking over-the-counter shampoo and the beard type stuff that created this brittle, scratchy, and uncomfortable beard that I just had to wear around all the time. But now the game done changed. Thanks to Basque and Lather, I got their beard care starter kit, which gave me shampoo, conditioner, oil balm, and their hair growth stimulator formula as well. And now my beard is full. It's soft but strong, and the confidence is on 10, and it's all thanks to Basque and Lather. Explore viral bestsellers and products of healthier hair of all types from Basque and Lather. Go to basqueandlatherco.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON for 20% off. That's 20% off at basqueandlatherco.com, code LOCKEDON.
Getting back to Naquan Jones into the conversation of just how deep this Houston Texans defensive tackle room is. Currently, the Texans depth chart, if you look on the most trusted football source, ESPN.com, Tommy Togiai, the rankings. Those are the two starters. Logan Hall, Caden McDonald, the rookie, Mario Edwards, Naquan Jones, Keontae Hamilton, who's I think had a very good camp, Dominique Bailey, the undrafted rookie free agent, who between those two guys, I could see them making the practice squad for Houston. But you really can't judge Jones's value for the Houston Texans team based on numbers. If you do that, then you're misleading yourself. And just last year, he was a late season signing, and so he didn't really have too many moments for the Texans. I mean, in 13 games total between the Texans and Chargers, you're looking at 13 total tackles. Now, his time with Houston, 3 tackles, 2 solos, 1 assist. He also did have some pressures. He had some good moments last year where I think guys around him benefited from his play on the inside. This puts Houston in a very unique position. We know that the Texans routinely rotate their defensive tackle guys, right? Like those guys are going to be playing between 55 to 60% of the snaps in terms of their starters. And then you'll see 25 to 32 here sprinkled in. And I do wonder with the addition of Caden McDonald, what does that look like? But when you hear Naquan say, he lost 15 pounds, worked with the dietitian, the nutritionist, getting under their weight, it screams to me that we all know Houston has a type for their defensive tackles. Yes, they obviously want those guys to be strong and stout, but they like them to be slim and quick, right? And you can see a little bit, actually a lot of bit of that slim quickness been added to Naquan Jones's game after losing their weight, and also think it just speaks volume to how easy it is for any defensive lineman to come from the outside inside of the Reliance Stadium, working with this defensive line group led by Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter, coached by Rod Wright to just fit in, follow in. The Texans don't have the problem maybe that other groups may have. Whereas last year, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, did he fit in too much? Did he fit in at all? Was he buying in? Was he a problem during practice? Was he a problem during film sessions? We've heard all of the rumors. None can be confirmed here on the show. I swear with Naquan, who doesn't necessarily carry the weight of other premier guys, he came right in and continued to worked on his craft. And so I love Houston's D tackle room right now. I think you can compare Houston D tackle room in terms of the entire roster as deep as the secondary with Kamari Lassiter, Derek Stingley, Bullock, Reed Blankenship, and now with a Kamari Ramsey, Jalen Petrie, and Jalen Smith. Those guys up front in the middle will make the linebacker's job a lot easier, especially. Hey, we got to see Naquan drop back in coverage, right? We gotta see him, personal user Madden himself in a live game. Maybe that'll be something where the Houston Texans will take on Jacksonville in London. They'll send Aziz out to go get the quarterback and Trevor Lawrence, and maybe Naquan can drop back to take away a cross route, right? We got to see that in a live game, but I think it's exciting. And I also think more so of the excitement, I think you're looking at a room that doesn't get talked about a lot enough because of the other players around them, but they really do contribute to the success of this Texans defense. They do. And the addition of Caden McDonald, that's going to be great. He's going to be a talking point, especially as he continues to grow. I think he's still a raw player in terms of talent-wise, maybe not all being shown at the college level, but he can really produce. But I think we'll see a lot of that this year. But the guys around that D tackle room, they feed off of each other, they play off of each other, they practice extremely hard as hell. But most importantly, they all have a niche to help that defensive front. And when that defensive front is rolling, then now you're looking at the secondary rolling. Now you're looking at the second level with their linebacker room rolling as well. They got a good look last week at what a good running team who looked like, right? Adding Evan Brown and Keelan Rutledge into the starter rotation. Rutledge over at guard, Evan Brown over at center. So I think that helps out a lot. That's going to push them. But specifically looking at Naquan, unless Houston uses Naquan as maybe a trade piece, like they kind of similar to the Jalen Reed situation where they're packaged Naquan with a late round pick in the future to maybe get a player possibly on the offensive side of the ball, seeing as though unless they address the edge rusher position, unless Houston views him as that in that light, as a talented player who can help them in the long run by maybe moving on from him for a different player, Naquan, I think, is going to have a huge impact for what the Houston Texans' success looks like in the run game. But more importantly, I do see him as a player who is not going to have eye-popping numbers, but he'll give you a sack or two on the year. Right? He's going to give you a few pressures. And I think because he's gotten a lot quicker, this is what you're going to love the most. It puts Houston in a position where that rotation can shrink as the season goes. as you're putting your best players out there a little bit more consistently, and those backup guys, or playing out there a little bit less. But for Jones, I think that can push Logan Hall outside a little bit more, right? I know Logan Hall has been listed as a D tackle, and I know a lot of his success in the NFL has been at D tackle. But as Houston searches to address their edge rusher that position now that Dylan Horton is out, I do think at some point it's inevitable we'll see some Logan Hall, regardless of what down to distance it is, third down, second down, regardless of what the offensive, the offense is showing them on that any given play. I think Naquan has been playing well enough to be able to have some flexibility, more expected flexibility there from Logan Hall. Thank you for watching this and listening to this afternoon drive session of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube wherever you listen to your podcast. And also let me know how you feel in the comment section on Instagram at some sports guy with two eyes at the end, or hit me up on Instagram. On Twitter, John_Hickman12. Until next time, ladies and gents, Texan fans across the nation. Peace. Enjoy your afternoon.